Here with head coach Anna Nimz as the Demons return home for the first time in a while. And before we talk about that game on Tuesday against Southern New Orleans, let's look back at that trip through Texas. And before we even talk about basketball stuff, what kind of benefit did you see just from this group of 11 new players coming together, being on the road for a week, and how does that help? Or how do you hope that helps build chemistry off the court that essentially will lead on the court chemistry too?
I think when you're on the road, it just allows for a little bit less distraction. We were able to room our older girls with our younger girls, and large in part just so that the younger ones or the new ones are learning the standard of how we travel and the business trip approach. But it's getting to know somebody that maybe you're not spending enough time with when you're here. Putting them in that position to kind of get to know each other, learn and grow together, and we were able to do a couple fun things on the road. And so it was fun. I think it built camaraderie, and we didn't come away with wins, but I actually think we got better from game 1 to game 3 quite a bit, both as a team on and off the court.
Yeah, that leads right to my next question. Where did you see that? Because there was obvious improvement from that Tarleton game to A&M even the next night, and then especially that North Texas game.
I think the Tarleton game was just super disappointing. We didn't necessarily execute, what we were trying to accomplish. And maybe we were guarding a couple things. We did a couple things really nice. We just had too many plays in which we kind of gave up. And the score is not indicative of how the game truly was. It was within under 5 minutes, it was a 5-point game. And then at the 2-minute mark, it was a 9-point game. And so to let the game go in the manner that it did, it was something that we obviously had to really address. And we talk about it all the time. It's just quitting on possessions or quitting on plays. And so it's learning how to play for 40 minutes, no matter what the score is. And I think past Tarleton, we absolutely got better. I think for playing a back-to-back game with Tarleton then A&M, I thought we came out and played incredibly well against A&M. Again, score's not overly indicative. I think... can't share what I just about shared. Let's just say some of the calls were a little bit lopsided. And I thought the girls handled adversity. They played through it, but our top 7 kids were all playing with 2 fouls early on. And I think the kids coming off the bench did a really nice job. But there was a pretty big drop off with just overall experience. And so I thought they did a really good job, but the score kind of got away from us. But quarter by quarter, there was only one quarter in which we didn't play it to maybe 4 or 5 points against a team in the SEC. So I was really proud of them. And then to continue to go from there, have a couple days, we had travel, we had a day off, we had a for fun day. They attacked UNT. They're the reigning American champs. They have the Player of the Year on their team. And although she had 17, I thought it was quiet. Same thing. I think some calls really went against us that I'm not 100% sure were correct. But the girls battled, and we got the shot we wanted down the stretch, and we tried like heck to win a close game, and it didn't go in, but we got a good shot off. And so I think from Tarleton, and there were things we did well in Tarleton, I think it grew substantially as we played down the trek. So we didn't win, but we definitely got better. And that's what I've told everybody, myself included, that this preseason and this non-conference has to be about getting us right for conference. And as long as we continue to go that direction, I think we're doing the job.
We're approaching game number 6, if I remember off the top of my head. And you mentioned those younger players, those freshmen, getting a lot of minutes at the A&M game, which I know was the plan going ahead. It was kind of accelerated by, like you said, the calls. But of that freshman group, obviously, we've seen what V has done, but their growth as a whole over these first 5 games, what have you seen from them?
I think they're starting to understand the physicality and speed of the game. And you're going to really figure that out when you're playing at the SEC level and the American level. And I think that they're maybe starting to have a few more aha moments. And so we just have to keep forcing those in practice, forcing that tempo in practice, that physicality in practice, so that, we're ready and top 10, top 11, tall 16, whatever that lineup's going to look like, those are earned minutes and that they're ready to hit it.
Talk a little bit specifically, though, about Vernell, 3 straight double-digit scoring efforts. We saw what she did in the early games, but to go out on the road like that and play where the growth have you seen from her specifically?
I think we can actually go all the way back to the LSU game. I think she needed the LSU game to have her aha moment, which obviously, thankfully, that was only 2 games in. But she plays with the confidence of a senior. Quiet, maybe she's not always that confident, but it's quiet confidence. She's making right plays. She's making smart plays. She's just playing simple basketball. The squared up off to, and she's really able to connect. It's no surprise that, UNT game, we had the ball 11 seconds and we wanted the ball in her hands, and that speaks volumes of a freshman. That out of a timeout, we knew they were going to overplay, or we assumed they were going to overplay Maya, because Maya had just been an absolute beast, especially down the stretch in that fourth quarter. And who better to have the ball in her hands than a kid that's, consistently hitting the good shot and the tough shots. So just really proud of her, and really proud of her poise.
You mentioned Vernell getting that inbound. You talked about Maya. Sharna had a good game that game. How exciting is it for you as we move, forward into Southern and conference just around the corner, that these players are making plays? They're coming up big in late game scenarios, to have those options when Coach A or yourself are drawing up plays, late in games?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, one, it's always nice, that's why you play non-conference, is to try to pull off some of these tight wins. We haven't not necessarily done that, but we are executing down this stretch. And what's nice is, I think within our lineup, and maybe the first couple off the bench, we've got a lot of scoring power. We talked about at the end of practice, we've got to start finding some points in the paint, and that's not just directed at our fives. That's directed to our guards. We're getting in there and we're not making chip shots, or we're not necessarily crashing the O boards as hard to get a couple of rebound putbacks. Now, some of that's game plan if we're sending everybody back to get defensive transition, but we've just got to have a bigger presence in the paint, both with the guards scoring chip shots, offensive rebounds, and obviously our fives connecting on their 2-foot shots. But I think we have a lot of different things that we can do, and so it's nice to see them gelling, and so it's kind of putting together a lineup, right? We have 16 kids, and we've got to narrow that number down, and I think some kids are really starting to play well together. So it's given us kind of a better base, or a better look at what we're doing.
As we look at the game on Tuesday night, what sort of next steps do you want to see this team make on Tuesday?
I think we have to focus on getting better. No matter what, we have to focus on getting better. We need to focus on our press break. We need to focus on, like I said, those 2-foot shots, those bunny shots in the paint that we're not connecting on. We need to focus on our execution. Obviously, we're going to hope that we can work on a couple different things, but we need to be intently locked in and understand our role. At this point in the season, we need to start understanding our role, and maybe your role is not to score buckets. It's to be a 50-50 girl. It's to be a hype girl. It's to be a rebounding girl. And so I think everybody trying to settle into roles and being the best in that role, whatever that role may be.
Coach, thanks so much.
Thank you. Farkum.